I'm ready to rock.
All right. Well, I gotta do this. I don't just be honest. I know who was coming on this podcast, so I had to dig out all of my hats. I got a Brooklyn one, Brooklyn
Oh my God.
t-shirt.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. I,
Yes.
I need to say this up front. I am a
Okay.
diehard Pistons fan. So what I'm doing for you is high treason.
Yo.
But
Yeah.
I
We need to talk about that though, so that your fans understand. Like,
no, we're doing this now. I want to say this up front.
oh, okay. Yes. You're doing this for me.
Yes,
It's like
I am.
I do it for you. If you took me to a Pistons game, I'd be like, yo, where's the gear? I'm here to support.
Okay. So since we know that, Sasha, I don't know if you know about my podcast, but anytime, not just wearing, offensive gear right now, we do something else for our guests that we love and slobberingly grateful to have. That is called the over the top intro. That's how we start every podcast. If it's okay, can I do it?
Yes. Let's go over the top. I'm ready. Ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my next guest might be Cuba's greatest export by way of her parents, but she is definitely the pride and joy of Broham Elementary Junior Orchestra in Olathe, Kansas, where she played the upright bass. Since then, she has been crushing the music game when she isn't crushing her opponents' body parts after winning gold in the AAU National Black Belt Championship. Moving on to graduate from the University of Kansas, go Jayhawks, to pursue her life as a professional musician. Now, after a hard day's work of giving you fans a new pop to dance to, she winds down with the only treat only smoother than her voice, and that is a dirty martini with count them, three olives. Sasha Prendes, welcome to the podcast.
Whoa! Oh my Lanta! That was crazy. You went deep. You went deep, my G. You went deep. Oh my gosh, Rome Elementary. Wow.
I know it's bro,
Wow.
but bro have because of I know, but I just figure, you know,
Amazing.
look,
I'm genuinely impressed. This is the first interview I've ever been on where someone acknowledged my elementary school orchestra. Shout out. Shout out to
well,
Rome.
we have a pretty good research department here.
Wow.
But
Wow. You.
with that said, we're here to talk about your latest single, Shake This. Now,
Yes.
love the song. I've been listening to it, not just in preparation for okay, two-part in preparation for this interview, and secondly, because it's a good song. But tell me a little bit more about the new single, how it come about, how did you make it, what was the process? Please, the floor is yours.
Amazing. So first, I'm still a little bit blown away from that intro. That was like whoa, and it just totally filters right into my excitement about Shake This. So Shake This was written and produced by my producer D Lawrence at Age Alive Records, and you know the moment I met D, it was like we just vibed. And we immediately, communicated about our lives and, all the intricacies of dating and how we got to where we are, whatever. So one day I hit him up and I'm like, hey, this guy that I really like ghosted me and I can't seem to shake this. And he just was like, shake this. That's the song. And so literally the next morning he calls me and he's like, get to the studio right now, wrote the song, and here are three words, shake this up. And I was like, all right, D, I'm on my way. And that's literally how the song came about. Like he literally wrote it, like woke up in the morning, wrote it in the morning. And we get to the studio and we just flew through it. It was like a genuinely magical day of how that song came about.
Well, like that song has pretty much everything you want in a, for lack of a better term, summertime feel good song. Mainly, well, even though the subject matter isn't necessarily feel good because of where it came from, because you trying to get over something, but it is a good bop and it has a lot of Latin influence with contemporary pop aspects. How do you think that just came about? Was it just kind of a natural thing, or granted, how you said you were just kind of put on the spot? Did it just kind of like, yeah, this is what I felt, and here we are?
I think that's how all of my songs come about. It's based off of feeling, it's based off of emotion and some sort of experience that happened. I have a hard time taking myself out of my own life and personal experience. And what's been really great about working with Dee is that we're both able, like, we all go through similar things, right? That's why music brings us all together. So it formulated because I originally, which is where you got all that Brooklyn info from, is that my music
Mhm.
was like kind of like low key sad girl, you know. And I had some dark things and experiences that I chose to write about, and upon meeting D, everyone's like, oh, Sasha, you're so bubbly, you're so fun, you're so wild, whatever, whatever. They're like, your music kind of doesn't really represent like that massive element of your personality. And I was like, yeah, I don't really know how to write happy music other than Brooklyn. Brooklyn is my happiest song. It's my anthem to the homeland.
Yeah, I
Um,
really like Brooklyn as a song. And that's where
thank
I'm
you.
kind of like, you're giving me new information. Please, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, 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 you're good. You're Gucci. You're Gucci. So I wrote, a lot of like sad girl stuff, and then Brooklyn was my happy song, which I will always love that song. Um and then Dee was like, all right, we can talk about hard times and we can give people motivation, inspiration without beating them over the head with like super sad notes and sad instrumentation and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So with Shake This, it was like, one of my favorite lines is time to throw away the compromise and look in the mirror and stop the lies. And it's the reflection you've been despising. And it's like, we all are our worst enemies. We can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. So, and control how we feel. So if we feel some type of way because we've been burned or hurt, it's up to us to look within and to be able to find peace, healing, and closure in ourselves. You know what I mean? To shake this and move forward and let go of whatever's holding you back. So that's like at the core of where Shake This came from.
And I'm glad that we got a chance to kind of, because that kind of feeds into my next question. Shake This is a great song and I love it, but I have, I have my favorites from you. I had, and one of them not only is Brooklyn, but Stay. So that is one of those songs where you talk about being the low key sad girl. Well, I kind of see it now. So with all of those things, with that, and you make your music based off personal experience, I'm very curious. How does one end up in a song? Because you answered my
Oh,
question because
oh,
that
oh.
clearly happened. Anyone who hasn't listened to these songs, please feel free to load up that Spotify and have a good time. But how does one end up in a song?
Oh man. Oh, oh man. I think that's what they all ask. I think that's what they all low key want to know. You can end up in a song good or bad, or indifference. My song Yellow Sweater is a little bit about an indifferent situation with someone who like I had definitely fallen for, and I know he cared for me, but we weren't right for each other, and so it was him who had pulled out first, and that hurt me, you know what I mean? But then there's also like other things involved, right? Like when people get drunk and they lie to you and they tell you they love you. So basically, if you lie to me, hurt me in some capacity, there's potential for a song to be written about you. If we fall in love and we have a very magical first date, you also have a chance of being written about too. I kind of write about like that first crush moment.
Mm.
First love moment is like Brooklyn. And then, you have Percocets, which is like really dark and sad. And you have, Yellow Sweater, which is like, oh, you told me you love me, but I know it's not true. But I still like low key like to hear it. But I know this isn't healthy for me. So all of the songs, you know, just have just have little moments. They're like little love letters, good or bad, to those I've loved before.
I get it. I get it. So now that there's an emotional aspect in this, normally there's a technical aspect. What do you find most challenging when making a new song? Is it what is it? Is it the emotion side? Is it the actual writing and technical side, or is it some new third thing that we just don't know about?
I'd say for me, the writing part, like the very beginning of laying it down, is the most natural. I'll literally just turn on my voice notes on my phone and we'll just start singing, freestyling, into the mic. Or sometimes like I'll pick up the guitar and just kind of like start strumming and we'll also freestyle and let things out. And then it'll be like a 10-minute long voice note. And then I'll go back in and be like, listen to it later and be like, oh, there's like 4 or 5 songs in there. I'm gonna take this, take that, take this. And that's kind of like my original process. I think where it gets hard is the technical stuff. When you're in the studio and figuring out the notes and figuring out how to change it up and to have it not, constantly be the same. And that's something that I've had some great people in my life help me with, because as an artist, you can't do everything as much as we all want to. You can't do everything yourself. And so eventually you have to pass on the reins to other people that you build trust with. And I'm very grateful for the creative choices that my other producers have collaborated with me on. And then, it's hard to say what the hardest part is. I'd say that is, sometimes being in the studio and like not getting a certain harmony right, not getting the notes right and having to do it over and over again. And, slash like eventually just like giving up and moving on and doing something different, which is also a positive thing too. Maybe it wasn't meant to be like that. It was meant to challenge you to then explore another musical option. But all in all, like it doesn't feel like work,
I get
it's
it.
like me confessing my heart and soul out. It's like finally, like I get the last word. And whether those that the songs are written about ever hear it, some of them I send it to. I do
Oh,
send them. I
okay.
will send it.
Okay. That just
Yeah.
opened up another question. So it was like the process of making music, and this is coming from a dummy, so I don't want to step on any toes. So this is low grade therapy, and then it turns into it turns into like a song, and then the finished product. Hey, not for nothing. I was thinking about you. Here you go. Here's about 4 minutes of everything I've ever thought of you.
It actually gets a little funnier than that. That's pretty spot on. But like for instance, this one person who I had a whirlwind romance with, I had messaged him about a year later and I go, hey, remember that song I wrote about you, but I wouldn't show it to you because I was very upset. Like the song when I told you I was mad at you and I wrote a song. And he was like, oh no. And I go, well, here it is. It's released now. So you can listen to it. And it was like my song Understandably, which is like a more of like a rock song. I was very angry. And sometimes I feel like rock music and like hard guitars like really just like embody the tone that I was trying to send, the message I was trying to send. um but that's one of them. And
So,
then
what if
yeah,
you forget? Do you get a DM or a text? Hey yo, Sasha, is that about me? Do you get those?
I got that once and I got it about Stay.
Oh, were they
Yep.
right, wrong? You don't have to name names, but
No,
were they
no.
right?
Oh no, I never name names. Later on in the career, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, he did. He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, is Stay about me?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." And he was like,
Eh,
"Oh," he's like, "I had a feeling, blah 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 blah." So yeah, that was like one of the hardest heartbreaks I had ever dealt with, and we're cool, we're
outside
friends.
looking in, yeah, it's pretty detailed and stay. So it wasn't a lot of secret. Let's put it that way. Um,
See, the secret to my sadness.
but here's one of the cool things about you. And I can be a bit of a music nerd sometimes. I don't know if my nerdiness didn't display already from just I didn't know, but if you needed further proof, like I'm a listen to the lyrics dude.
Yeah.
So with that said, because there's a lot of wordplay and innuendo in your music as a whole, so is there a level of I guess we're all listening because we want to see if this song is about us. But can you listen to your own music objectively? I like asking musicians about that because it varies. Sometimes you can think you're the greatest thing ever, more power to you. Awesome. And Other times you can just beat yourself up when you listen to your own music. So can you listen to it objectively saying like, okay, this is good, but I need to work on this, that, and third, or you just walk in the room, I'm awesome. Next song, we're out of here.
Oh man, no, I really dig deep and criticize myself pretty harshly. Um, and especially with Stay, knowing that like, you know, he reached out to me, 2, 3 years later and finally heard it. It gave me like this satisfaction of like, okay, all the time and energy that I spent into it, everything that I wanted to say to him, I said it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And he's a lovely man. He's a lovely man. We didn't have a catastrophic breakup the way most of the others have been. It was just like long distance and different placements in life. And I think that's the hardest. It's easier to let go of someone when you're angry with them or when when there was a really big blowout. But when it was kind of like this thing where it just wasn't going to work out, but the love was still there. I think that's where that pain really stems from. And I worked really hard on that, worked very hard on that song, did multiple versions of that song. Um, and so sometimes you get so far down the line with a record that you're like, all right, you know what? It's done. Like we're putting this out. Like there's nothing else that we can do to it. It is what it is. It's beautiful as is. It captures the moment, the life of the moment, and you just drop it.
Well, Sasha, um, I want to compare my nerddom to your rock starness, and this is
Okay.
the only through line. This I checked. This is it. This is like the only common ground we have. I don't know what it is to be a pop star, and I don't necessarily know if you know what it is to be a hyperactive nerd with a podcast. But this is our through line. This is the only time we meet up. Origin stories. So anyone with a superpower. I read a lot of comic books. I checked. Everyone with a superpower, like your superpower to grab a mic and gets everyone's attention, is the same as mine to grab a mic and get everyone's attention. So
Yes.
this is it. This is the only time we will ever meet up ever in life. So with that said, I want to ask a few questions about your origin, mainly because much like every good comic book, it is everyone's first comic book. So we gotta do a little backstory.
Yeah. Let's do it.
With that said, what was it like growing up in more of a Cuban family in Kansas? How was it? Did your family or the surroundings influence who you are now and what you do on a daily? So, what was that like? The origin story. Here we go.
Yeah. So, family's from Cuba. I was born in New Jersey and then I grew up in Kansas. We moved there when I was 5. And I had such a beautiful childhood. Like, we were in a very rural area, which eventually got more populated over time. But I'd say there was about 80,000 people in our suburbs. And again, great childhood, super fun. And I just remember, when we moved in, our neighbors were like thinking that we were in the witness protection program. Like they were just like, who are these people? And like my dad and his brother, we had houses right next door to each other. So I grew up with like 3 of my first cousins next door. And they were like, what brothers, from the East Coast, Cuban, and we're playing dominoes and we blast music. And my parents came from the East Coast, so they only wore the color black. And, everyone, moved from smaller, more rural areas into the neighborhood that we all just moved into Olathe. So it was just really, really funny. And eventually, a couple years later, they were like, hey, so what's the story? Like, are you guys in the witness protection program? And I remember that just being like the funniest thing to us. But it was nice being different. I always felt like I was different. I ended up really building some amazing friendships and bonding with different people and introducing different people to my culture, which was really
Hmm.
cool. And we would have like pig roast parties and we would invite everybody over and we would make the traditional, like pig in the box, and we would have the rice and the beans, and our family would fly in, and it would always be a really good time. And we blended our cultures with traditional like Midwest American culture. And so that's a huge element of who I am. And I'm so, so blessed to have grown up in the great state of Kansas because I went to great schools. I had wonderful friends. Um, and my family's number one. So it's cool. It was really cool. They took some of our culture and we adopted theirs. So
Hey, I know what I do have on good authority of what it is to be a product of a first generation of anyone. So was that added pressure to be awesome in anything you've done? Because it was sort of like, okay, if you're going to do X, you better be the best at this thing. Did that come up?
that is a common theme for all first gens. I'd say that came up a little bit, but for the most part, I was very independent as a kid. And I was like, I want to dance, I want to sing. Then my dad's like, let's get into martial arts. I went, got my black belt in martial arts, and I was a cheerleader. I danced, I did a little bit of everything. So for me, I think the life that we were living was the American dream. And when grandma and grandpa would come and visit, they'd stay for like a month and embrace our lifestyle out there, and everyone loved it. But I will say the one thing that is very first gen of me and my family is that they pushed me to be the best, and they pushed me to be a singer. They never had to knock on my door and be like, did you get your homework done? Like that was never a thing. But when it came to music, my dad's like, you got to do it. You got to do it. And both of them were incredibly encouraging, to the point where like when I didn't know what to do, and I remember being like really depressed and being like, I don't know how to get into music. I feel like I'm stuck. I don't even know what to do. You guys don't even know what to do. My dad would just always say like, we'll find a way. We will always find a way. You will always find a way. And so those words have just stuck with me.
Nope. And along with that, okay, look, I want to preface this next question by saying this because I don't know how true it is, but I got you in front of me, so you could tell me if it's crap or not. But I read on the internet around that time of your upbringing, around you were 8 years old, you used to write music in a notebook and keep it to yourself.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
a great research department here.
Yo, R&D. Whoa.
With that said, why?
So I remember having this orange composition notebook. Remember, it had like
I'm very familiar with the composition notebooks.
the pattern in the front,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like neon orange. And I just remember being in class in fourth grade and starting to write songs. And my mom actually sent me that book of like a year or two ago, and she had it, and you can see all the songs, and like I could totally pull from the content in the pages. And I was like, damn, I was a really like sad 8-year-old, like, and like totally like unrequited love. Like I would cross the ocean for you. Like who am I talking about? Like what is my deal? um but I would write songs because I felt compelled to write. Whenever we had creative writing or journal time in classes, like that really resonated with me, and it made me feel better. And I was really good at writing at a young age. And I don't know what it was. I was just like, I don't like the songs I'm hearing. I want to make my own songs. And I think it just kind of blossomed from there.
Okay. Second question. I read on the internet. But this is you. It's a two-parter, I should say.
Okay.
Right after you graduated from the University of Kansas, you got a job selling medical device sales.
Yes.
You sold medical devices. Now,
Yes.
I have absolutely no idea what that is, but I did see the movie Pursuit of Happiness, and it looks hard. So I have to ask, what's harder, making a hit song or selling medical devices?
Selling medical devices.
Really?
So hard. So hard.
Why?
Oh my God. It was exhausting.
Is it like the movie?
I mean, kind of, but it's like now it's like 10 times more like admin work, like you have to get on and you have to like make all these notes and fill out all these questions for each potential customer you get to. And then, you're driving all around the state, and then, people cancel their meetings on you last minute. They don't even want to talk to you. Like, don't sell us anything. I'm like, but really though, like it actually works. And it did. Like everything I sold was actually really awesome and worked, but it was just not the same. And I think what hurt me the most was spending all this time on somebody else's dream working for someone else who
Right.
had their goals of helping those in the medical industry and giving patients, technology that will make them healthier, which is an amazing dream to have. It's just not mine.
Makes sense.
And it got difficult to work for other people, you know? So one day I looked out the window and I remember being like, God, give me a sign that I should do music full time. Give me a sign, please. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm in this crossroad. And then the next day I get a phone call and they're like, hey, Sasha, we're letting you go.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, whatever, whatever. And I just got off and just started hysterically laughing, like the Joker, like literally hysterically laughing because I was like, "Yo, that was weird." Like I literally like prayed to God and was like, "Help me." And then the next day that happened, and I remember my girlfriend was with me, and she was like, "Oh my God, what are you gonna do?" And I just started. It was making me laugh harder. Like I just was like, "Girl, you don't understand. You
This is what you kind
don't
of wanted.
understand." I just spoke to God, and He just spoke back to me, like in real time.
That's dope.
It was pretty cool. But yeah, that was super challenging, but it made me stronger. It made me, you know, better at business. I understood myself more and what I really wanted to do.
All right.
So
Around this time in your life, that actually feeds into my next question. Around this time in your life, you made the jump from, look, we're not in Kansas anymore. Yes, I know, dad joke. I get it. I get it. I'm sure you've heard that before. I'm so sure.
never,
Really?
never, never,
Oh, okay.
never.
With that said, you make the move from Kansas to New York. Now,
Yes.
this is one quality I want to know as I did some time in New York myself, very little, but I'm Midwestern to my heart. So I want to ask this question because I had to ask myself this question when I did my little time in the Northeast. What positive qualities did you bring from the Midwest to New York? And what negative qualities did you get from New York that you brought back?
Oh man, I love this question. I love this question. Okay, so my favorite thing about being from Kansas is my friendliness. Like everywhere I go, I wave to people. I'm very nice. I open the door, like whatever, whatever. Especially when you're driving on the road in New York, people, think that they're gonna get past you if they cut you off. And it's like, no, my friend, we're all going to the same direction. Or if you need to get in and they kind of like don't want to let you in, I'll just stick my hand out the window and be like, and then like smile. And then it's like, oh man, you're a total asshole if somebody waves at you and you don't let them in. Like it's not a
Right.
race, bro. Um, and so it works every time. And so when I'm with other friends, I'm like, just wave, or I'll stick out, my hand out the window and wave. And surprisingly, people lighten up when you smile at them or when you wave at them, or when they let you
Yes.
in. Little things like that. I hit people with a smile. And I'm very talkative, and I'm making friends in the elevator, and I love, that's how I've made all my friends in New York, just like chatting to them in random places, the girls' bathroom, the elevator, whatever, the coffee shop. And that's something that I'm so grateful that I'm like that, because also too, that's very Latina, right? Like, in Hispanic cultures, we're very open, very welcoming. Everyone's loud, come on over, come have dinner. Um, so I think it was a nice combination of both. And then where New York has totally kicked my ass is I never had a problem with staring. Like people would stare at me, whatever, keep walking. But in New York, sometimes you get someone who stares at you and is like weirdly looking at you and then like weirdly walking towards you. And I found myself the other day, been in New York now 7 years. I found myself the other day with like this creepy person who's staring at me and like kind of getting too close to me. And I go, the fuck are you looking at? And
Yep.
he was like, and I was like, can I help you? And it was the most New York,
Yep.
the most New York thing I've ever done in my life, and I think New York has taught me boundaries, in a way where you can't let everyone have access to you, and not everyone is as friendly as they are in Kansas, and not everyone has the best intentions. So New York has given me that street smart to identify like
Mm-hmm.
when to be open and friendly, or when to actually stand up for myself and be like, bro, take a step back or I'm gonna roundhouse kick you in the face. And then like you're gonna have a problem,
It
you
does
know?
it to you. it's this Jekyll and Hyde. It's a switch. It's not even in your body, but you turn into someone else. And unfortunately, that was me. Where I try to wear my emotions on my sleeve as much as I can. However, when that switch is closed off, it's very like, all right, what? Every I don't I don't even like that part of me, but it's in me now.
Yeah, and I love that it's in me because I believe that one of my flaws, or maybe not call it a flaw, but one of my weaknesses has been being a pushover and having people walk all over me. And New York has given me the strength to like stand up for myself. Like if I don't like something, or if I'm uncomfortable, if I don't like a restaurant, or I don't like the way someone's treating me, I will say something. Or if I'm unhappy on a day, I will just leave, and like, and not feeling like, oh, well, I feel bad. Like, oh, like, and you start to kind of rationalize, and it's allowed me to kind of jump on my instincts. If I don't feel safe, if I don't feel comfortable, if I'm unhappy with something, if it's not fun, you can just leave and you can stand up for yourself and create, a better and more welcoming space for yourself. And that's what I've loved. I mean, I've just learned so much from being here, and it's definitely whooped my ass, but we all need that,
I get it.
we need a little thick skin, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. So we're getting up against it. I only have like two more questions left, but I always love asking this question. What advice would you give aspiring musicians right now in this? I mean, you walk through it. Maybe you can help someone else out.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, 100%. I would say keep making music that you like, keep writing, and like for me, I've written so much music, and for me now to be paired up with D Lawrence has been amazing because I know that eventually I'll be able to get more of my personal and like my older music out, things that are a little more of my sad girl stuff. I'm just waiting, right? I'm just waiting low key to be able to release all of my sad girl stuff. But find a team. My biggest thing is find a team, find people that you trust. And I've cycled through several teams. But each one I learned something and built a little piece of my career up. And, that's find a producer. I mean, I was making songs in closets, and I was, in tiny little studios and boxes and in basements and doing things. And like when you find people who believe in you, believe in your project, you start to grow. But yeah, make a team, make your own team, and people will fall off. And then you just bring someone new in, and maybe they fall off and you bring someone new in. So make a team and don't quit.
Okay. And well, I kind of lied. It's like a 1.5 because this is a question, but not really. Um, um, in the comic book aspect of what I said earlier, this is always someone's new introduction to who Sasha really is. We talked about your origin story. We talked about what you're currently doing now. We talked about Shake This, the new single. With your permission, we do have an audio version of this podcast. Can we rifle through some of the Spotify hits and put a few in there so they just know who you are and go from there?
I would love that.
Okay.
Totally. Totally,
And
totally.
I will make sure in the post of this we put your social media information and all that stuff where they
Yeah.
can dive into it a little bit more. And lastly, certainly not leastly, I want you to do it yourself. This camera, that camera, whatever camera you're using right now, please tell people where they can find you on social media, any upcoming projects, anything you got. The floor is yours. Please go ahead, Sasha.
Amazing. Well, you guys can find me everywhere music lives under Sasha Prendes, and that's Prendes. Um, Honestly, just Google Shake This. Google Shake This Sasha Prendes, and you will see everything. Check out my new music video. Follow me on all platforms. I will be traveling, I will be touring, I will be doing pop-up shows, and you can find me everywhere music lives. So definitely check out my work, and I hope to meet y'all soon.
Sasha, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your day. Just we could wax poetic. I don't exactly know how I was as an interviewer. I don't know
You
if
are
too
awesome.
deep.
So fun. Your energy is amazing. Like we're on the same level of like oomph. I don't even know what to call it. Fucking love.
And more importantly, I loved it too. You're welcome back anytime you want. We can chop it up. We can talk about stuff. Sasha, this
Yeah.
is awesome. And we wish you just the greatest success. Please, I know last night was something. Get some rest, chill, because something tells me your day today is going to be a little bit more hectic.
It's gonna be a little crazy,
It can
but
be.
that's how I like it. You know what I
All right.
mean? How I like it. It has to be crazy. If not, if you're bored, then what are you doing? If it's
Hey,
not fun, what are you doing? You
hey,
know?
I was growing up with the simple proverb, if you're bored, you're boring.
Facts.
There it
Absolute
is.
facts. You should never be bored. Oh
I'm
my.
not going to say anything smarter today. I'm just going to close with that. That was it. I think that's the smartest thing I'm going to say all day. Sasha, this has been great. You're welcome back to the podcast anytime you want. We're going to play a little bit of your music in the audio portion of this podcast. And thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Muchísimas gracias. Speak soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. Bye.